Michael and Karen had everything: money, a home in Los Angeles, and a life that seemed too perfect to be real. But one night, a masked intruder shattered their world and nearly killed Karen right in front of Michael. When police arrive, Officer Pete Davis seems like the perfect hero. He protects them, upgrades their security, and slowly earns their trust. But Pete isn't protecting Karen because it's his job. He's becoming obsessed with her. Soon, he crosses boundaries, manipulates police, and turns Michael's own home into a prison. And when the man in uniform decides he wants Karen for himself, they discover that the person they trusted most may be their greatest threat. Stay with us as this nightmare unfolds. The story begins with a happy, rich, and perfect-looking couple. Both Michael and Karen live in a beautiful house in Los Angeles. Life looks perfect: love, comfort, and peace. But as they say, perfection is always the most fragile. One night when the two are having dinner in their house, suddenly the window of the house is broken and a masked man bars in. He grabs Karen and strangles her. Michael tries to save her but is rooted in fear and shock. The intruder escapes, and after that night their safe life changes completely. The next day the police arrived. Officer Peter Davis is a charismatic, friendly, trustworthy police officer who comforts Michael and Karen. He says, "You're safe now. We'll take care of everything." Michael immediately becomes comfortable with her, and Karen also feels relieved. A few days pass. The box comes often. Cameras installs a security system. He even takes Michael to the shooting range so that he can feel himself strong. Gradually, the Pete becomes a part of their home. Michael thinks he's a really good person, but there's some hesitation in Karen's gaze, something that says he's over-caring. One night, Pete and his partner tell Michael that they have tracked down the thief who broke into their house. They both take Michael to an empty building. There, the thief is caught, nervous, scared. The son beats him against the wall, kicks. He even hands his gun to Michael. He says, "Fire, take revenge." Michael is stunned. He drops the gun out of fear. Pete laughs like saying, "You'll never be able to protect yourself." That night, Michael returns home. But Karen sees that something is broken inside. Gradually, the true nature of the box starts to come out. He talks to Karen over and over again. His house comes uninvited, and a strange passion flashes in his eyes. He says, "You need a husband who can really keep you safe." Michael begins to feel scared now. He complains to the police department. The record of the angel is clear. No one doubts him. On the contrary, he starts proving that Michael is insecure and crazy. The film now slowly starts to change from a suspense thriller to a psychological nightmare. On one side is Michael, who wants to get his life back to normal, and on the other side is Pete, who starts to consider his life as his right. He just doesn't want to be friends. He wants Karen. He wants his house, and he thinks he can have it all. Just have to get Michael out of the way. My son comes to their house every day, sometimes checking the security of the door, sometimes on the pretext of neighborhood patrol, sometimes just asking about Karen's condition. At first, Karen is a little nervous, but there is an affinity in her words that slowly eats away at her fear. Pete compliments him. He says that very few women have a heart like yours. Karen just smiles slightly, but a little hesitation is evident in her eyes. Michael is restless now. He watches Petty come into the house every time without asking, talks to Karen. He even sits in his living room for hours. He says, "You have the right to protect your wife." But from the inside, it seems that Petty is no longer protecting. He's just doing it. One day, Michael goes to the office. He looks back. Petty is sitting in his house, teaching Karen the piano. She's laughing and can't take Pete's gaze and her face away. Michael's anger erupts. "This is my home. She is my wife. And that's enough now, Pete." Pete just gives a cold smile. "Relax. I was just helping. You should be thankful. Everything has changed since that day." Petty's face no longer looks scary, not friendly. The phone rings at night. Nobody speaks. It's just the sound of the eyes. Sometimes a police car is seen parked outside the house. But when Michael goes out, No one is there. Patty had taken him into surveillance and his office calls, even financial records, Michael realizes. The system he was relying on has now turned against him. One night, Michael gets a call from the police. He is told that he is an assault suspect. Petty has filed a report that Michael had attacked her. He is detained. His dignity, his fear, everything starts to disappear. Karen is nervous when she returns home. Patty reached out to him, says Michael is dangerous now. He doesn't bother you. He looks into her eyes and says, if he does something again, I will finish him off. Karen is confused now. Petty's words seem to reassure and intimidate her. Michael says he's after you, Karen. He wants to break us. But Karen doesn't know what to believe anymore. On a cop who seems to be a hero or at her husband who is now living in fear all the time. The stomach gradually exceeds its limits. He gives Karen the key. Says if ever scared, I'm a call away, and Karen is in her bedroom that night. That's when there is a movement outside the window. She pulls back the curtain and sees Pete standing. Karen's face turns white. He's staring at her, without blinking. There is no innocence in his eyes. It's just ownership. Michael now understands that Pete has entered his life, not just his house. And if nothing is done now, everything that is done, their relationship, their home, even their breath, will all be under the control of the stomach. The film now reaches its real tension, where a man who wears the uniform of the law gradually begins to consider himself above that law. The story has now reached its scariest juncture. Petty's objection is no longer in any limits. He just wants to get Karen now. At any rate, Karen is now living in fear every day. Sounds are heard at night. There's someone outside the door. Sometimes the phone rings and no one speaks. Every time she steps out of the house, Pete's police car appears nearby, as if he had become her shadow. Michael begins to break down. His trust, his patience is all gone. He does not understand how to fight a policeman when the system itself stands by him. Petty has now convinced everyone that Michael is unstable. That's what's dangerous. One night, Michael tells Karen that we should get out of here. This city is no longer ours. But Karen is tired. She just says, "Where will you go, Michael? He will find us wherever he goes." And that's what happens. The next day, when Michael moves out, Pete rammed into his car. The brakes fail, and Michael narrowly escapes death in an accident. Now he is convinced. Pete is about to do something big. And that same night, Pete comes to Karen's house. He says, "I've taken care of everything. You don't have to be afraid anymore." Karen tells him to stay away, but he smiles. "Michael doesn't bother you. I do." Patia has gone completely insane. He catches Karen. He says, "I have come to take you out of the place in which you are living." Karen screams. He redeems himself. She somehow runs to the phone and calls Michael. He is here. Michael runs towards the house like crazy. As soon as he enters the house, he sees broken furniture, shattered glass, and Karen's voice, trembling with fear and anger, is completely out of her uniform. He pulls out the gun and says, "Now the game is over. No one can save both of you." A murderous confrontation ensues between Michael and Pete. The two pounce on each other. Karen is standing in the corner, and there are two men in front of her. One who is trying to save his life, and the other who has written death in his name. The stomach injures him. Michael falls down. Pete leans over her and says, "Now she's just mine." Karen retreats, trembling. Then, in one fell swoop, she picks up the knife from Christian and goes to the back of her stomach and stabs him. There is shock in Petty's eyes. He turns around and looks at Karen. For a moment, it seems as if he realizes what he has lost. Then it slowly falls to the ground. Michael is injured but alive. Karen comes to him. She handles it. Both have external breaths, but there is a comfort. He is free. Outside, Saren's voices are heard. The police enter the house and iron it. This time, she has not come to save them, but to get proof of how a policeman had considered himself above the law. Karen looks out the window. The morning light is slowly spreading. There is no fear in his eyes, just fatigue. He killed a man who was supposed to protect him, broke a system that kept him in captivity. Michael comes to her, holds his hand. That's all she says. Now maybe we'll be able to breathe again. The camera fades slowly, and there is only one truth left on the screen. Sometimes the greatest threat comes not from the outside, but from the people we trust the most. And with this, our explanation of unlawful entry ends. Hope you guys liked this story. Thank you.